Yeah, we need to continue to do the Buildspace thing today. I'm gonna put the timer for 1.5 hours, but I'm probably gonna stay more than 1.5 hours and just take a break after. So I'm trying to simplify as much as possible now, so I can deploy as fast as possible. And I haven't tested this yet. I've just done refactoring all the functions here, and I decided to, like, one of these functions I just redid the function instead of creating a new one, this redraw function, and I'm gonna try to see if I can, like right now I'm gonna see the flow of the network, the Vue.js library, how it works, like what is the first, the path until it triggers the first visualization. And then I want to see if I can do the same thing here. And here I have to copy these functions as well. I'm just gonna do this. Most of this stuff I'm gonna have to remove, I think, because this stuff comes from the Vue.js util library, and I don't know where, like, how this function works. Maybe I can just look at the file there, the standalone thing, and then try to figure out, but I think I might have to remove it or do it in a different way. So I want to get to the point. So what I'm thinking about doing after, like, hopefully this will work. And then if it does, then I'm just gonna create a button here, and then through the button I'm gonna call like a function. I'm gonna send an API request, and the API request is gonna trigger the function, the models function or model function, and then it's gonna send the data back. And then with the data, I'll create the graph. And I don't know why I didn't think about this before. Instead of having to constantly activate the script, I could have done that before, or just created a button here and then I make the button create the graph. So I have to do that. And then, like, my biggest concern is that I never deployed a Svelte website, and also I never deployed a Flask API. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna run into problems. That's the biggest concern that I have. Because then who knows how long it's gonna take for me to figure out. And I need to have the link until Sunday, so. And then this is the reason why on these functions here, I just left like a very simplified version. I'm pretty much just copying the stuff that I have on the other library here. And then instead of the other library, it draws everything in one go, in one function. And then on this one, it separates the drawing for 3 different functions. And there was some stuff on the options here that as well that I removed. And there's also, like, the draw nodes was a lot more complicated because I think they do some stuff related to the nodes that are selected and the nodes that are not selected and things like that. So I had to simplify, massively simplify, and just delete everything and put the stuff that I have there. So, and then this stuff, I figure out that I realized that there are similar functions. I just was looking on the wrong class, but the set transform for I think that is pretty much the same. I'm not 100% sure. that before they had a context set transform here, and then this class has a update world transform. It's probably not gonna find. So this might break, but it is from the element class here. And I think that these functions do the same thing pretty much. But the way that WebGL works is with matrices. So you have to update, and it's more complicated because you have the model view, you have the model, the view, and the projection. And then with those three things, you create the scene. And then on top of that, you have other elements that you put. So it's like you're putting like a main element, and then inside of the main element, you put the other elements. And then every time you update one of the elements, you have to see the relative coordinates between the child element and the parent element, and you have to update all of the states for all of them. So it's a lot more complicated to do everything. And also, I think that the scaling here was just related to the canvas itself and not the drawing. So I think that's another main difference. That on the other library he left so that the CSS does the scaling for the canvas, and I think that these functions here that they had was just related to like the size of the canvas and not the drawing. So I'm commenting this out for now, and I think I'm probably not gonna have that because it's fundamentally different, the paradigm for WebGL and the normal context. But obviously I didn't test this yet, so I'm not sure if it's gonna work. But I have to figure out now how it triggers this function. On the beginning, I think it's through an event listener. So I'm gonna follow the path there. I think, yeah, I have to copy this stuff first, and then I have to see. I'm probably gonna delete, or I think I'm just gonna comment everything out for now. Maybe I should comment everything out, and then because the main thing that I wanna do is just see like that the visualization is working. So that's the thing that and then everything else I'm gonna ignore. I don't know how long it's gonna take, to be honest, to understand how everything works. So yeah, I think it's gonna take quite some time because it's very complicated. There's a bunch of different stuff here. But I think I'm gonna do it in the way that I'm doing now, where I'm just gonna remove everything from VGS, and then I'm gonna try to slowly incorporate this stuff. And I think at the point that once I start adding the new functionality, then I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time thinking about, I'm gonna have to investigate these other libraries here, not libraries, the other classes, because those are the classes that are creating the GL language, I think, the stuff that the program actually uses to render everything, which I don't understand at all. I understand a little bit now, but not in the context of this library. So, and who knows how long it's gonna take. And then here is fairly complicated as well, because this start rendering calls this function and then passes this render step with the bind here. So assume that this callback is the render step, and it's gonna call that on the animation loop. So this would be the equivalent of the frame on the other project. That there's a function called frame on the create graph scene. So this is the function that is going on a loop on the animation frame, I think. But I'm not really sure how it works here, because I think that they did some stuff here so that like there is some conditions that allow you to change the loop, and I don't understand really well, like, because this depends on the whole context of the whole thing, so it's very difficult to understand how it works. And then the render step calls the start rendering, and then the redraw. Yeah, this is the function that binds the thing. Render step. And then redraw is the function that I just changed. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. So I need to figure out how this one triggers that one. And I think it's gonna be through the body emitter thing. This is the stuff that I think I'm just gonna remove this part because this is related to the CSS. And I'm just gonna do whatever I need from scratch. I think I don't even know if I gonna use VGS too much because I'm starting, like, the more that I study this, the more I understand like the main concepts. And it's pretty much just like the main things that I have to understand is how the WebGL renders everything, and which I kind of understand, but not well enough, which is like how all the matrices have to be updated so that the scene updates. Then the event listeners, and like throughout the VGS there are a bunch of event listeners on different functions, and then each one of them triggers the redrawing. So I think that's pretty much it. Like, once I understand how the event listeners work, how they are all connected, the thing that is most difficult, I think, is to understand the animation loop, because it involves the whole application. That's the problem. And then obviously the physics engine as well, because it's all connected. So the reason why I think it's going to be very complicated is because that on this one, like, the physics engine is just changing like a very simple 2D context. But what I'm gonna have to do is like understand how I should update all the matrices with the functions, like to have the same effect that the functions on the physics engine have. And here it is easy so far, like, because I'm just using the functions that I have from the library, so I don't understand them really well. But it's easy because like they are all done. So like I have to think about how I can change some stuff, like some of the matrices, and see like what happens in the visualization when you change that. Or I need to figure out a way to study, to understand more how it works, because it's very abstract and there's a bunch of things involved. There are a bunch of different classes involved, so it makes a lot harder to understand. So what else do I need to do here? I have to remove all of this stuff, I think, as well. And remove the activator thing. So I think that, yeah, this is the part that it was like I changed this function, and it looks like that on the other library he left for the CSS to do the scaling. And the functions related on the canvas here, I think, like the functions that they had here with set camera and get camera is more related to the canvas itself, I think. And that's the reason why it doesn't have on the other one, because the other one, he chose to not deal with that, and the way that WebGL renders is different. So I think this is the one that is going to start the... And then also here, I should probably delete this as well. I think I'm gonna leave these functions and just see if it works or not. And if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna remove as many things until it works. Yeah, I'm gonna leave these functions here. Yeah, so now I'm passing the graph here to this class, just as the data, just because it's gonna be easier on this class here. But later, I think I'm gonna have to. Not gonna have to, but I think it's probably better to change and to build the graph. I think I'm gonna like create another class inside of the network that is the graph, and then it receives the data. And then I pass that class to the other classes that need the graph. And then inside of the graph, I change like, or I just take the end graph thing. I think that's probably better. Yeah, just download this locally and then use the one that I have locally, and then I just change whatever is necessary to make it work. And then I just reuse the functions, and then maybe add some other functions as well. Okay, so what else? I think I need to download this. So I'm gonna go over this project, which is the VJS one, and then see where do they. Yeah, I think that's it. Set options. And then set data is just related to the, but maybe that this is also starts the simulation or something like that. But it's related to transforming the data into the new vis datasets class, I think. And just seeing for the other options that they make it available. It's gonna emit this and emit physics, init physics. So I don't know why it's yellow here. Should be green. I'm pretty sure it's the same. Yeah, so let's go over this one. I think I'm gonna put some music for myself probably. This is the problem with these events, is that it's very hard to know like where is the thing that is receiving the events. And this for each is also from these utils. It's a very complicated function. Not very complicated, but it's confusing to understand. But it pretty much loops over the nodes, I think. And it just is from these utils because it accepts both arrays and objects, I think. It's just setting options for the nodes. And so I think that this is the thing that is gonna render probably. It's gonna start the animation loop. This resize nodes is also on the nodes, I think. Class. I start rendering. I think this is the one that is gonna trigger the on start rendering. It calls the function, and then this calls the other one with this other function. it calls this one and then passes this, which pretty much makes this be the function that is going to be on a loop, and this is going to call the redraw, and then it's going to call this. So I think what I'm going to do is just emit this in the end and see if I can create the graph just based on this. The other thing that I don't understand on this one is when does it stop the animation or the loop? How does it do that? And obviously there's functions here, but I didn't look too much like into the whole thing to understand. Like this is the problem, is because it's very abstract. Like should know when this, like, because there's a bunch of different things that are going on the loop, I think, through these event listeners. So it's hard to visualize the whole path of the cycle, let's say. But I think it's very similar. Like on the other one, it uses layout.step, the function, and that triggers, like that makes the simulation change. And on this one, it uses this physics stick. So I think that like is the same concept. And this one, it seems like is more dynamic than the other one because of the event listeners that it has on the cycle that is constantly triggering this physics stick here. But it's very hard to understand like how it's doing that because it involves everything. So but I think what I can do is just put this, well, it has this event here. Maybe I'll put here. I think there is not going to be like any difference if the event, like there isn't, if I don't have the physics module here or the class to receive the star simulation, because I think you can emit and not do anything with it. Yeah, so now I'm gonna start this. There's probably gonna be a lot of mistakes. And on this one, I also have to do another, I think, another path. Oh, I don't need to, because I'm using sockets, I don't need to send a request. I can just use the store and then I send an event. I'm gonna have to study this again as well to understand how it works. Because the problem here is that maybe I use this socket variable here. I'm just gonna return the socket. Let me think. I think you can use socket emit probably. Then I emit a message and then it's gonna send the graph data. But that's the problem. I need to create another one and then another endpoint that calls the function instead of receiving from here. And then through that one, like it calls the function and then sends the event. It's very complicated. Yeah, because on the other file, it's gonna send the message after it runs the function. And then when it sends the message, it's gonna send the data, so. Yeah, we'll call trigger graph. And then I'm gonna have to change the model file. Maybe I don't need the other function because I don't need the model to send the data if I call it from here. And the problem with this thing is that like it's easy to do, I think, but the issue is like I have to think about the whole way that I want to do this later. Like what is going to be the design? I'm going to scale everything. That's the challenge. Because later on, like I'm thinking about incorporating an IDE, and then through the IDE, the people can type the code, and then, but that I'm gonna have to study more, like how it works. What is the best way to do that? I know it's possible because like there's things like Free Code Camp. Like I want to do something similar to that, I think, where instead of making the tasks, you write the code and then it displays the graph on the side. So it might be completely different than what I'm doing here. That's the thing. I think I'll think about this later, I think. First, let me see if the thing works. Already a bunch of problems. Hmm. Maybe. Oh, I need to initialize with the new. I'm just gonna run this just so I don't get the... Yeah, I have to comment this out for now. I'm gonna encapsulate everything inside of the function later. Yeah, I think the reason why I was thinking about making it send the thing through the WebSocket is because I like if I need to have all the files beforehand, it doesn't work. But I think like this is something I'm gonna see later, so it's not worth thinking about that now. Yeah, okay. Calls. Didn't even get to the points that I think that are gonna be. My biggest concern is the way that I passed this, like the context to the other classes. I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not. It's also gonna be difficult if if it runs, but it doesn't show any. It doesn't show the graph, but doesn't show any errors. I'm not sure if this is necessary because I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna do things the same way, so if I keep this, I'm gonna have to. But I think I'm gonna just copy and paste for now. And if I want to keep this, I'm gonna have to do other stuff probably because I'm changing everything from the library, so it's not gonna be the same descriptions there. I don't even understand how this works, but yeah. I could just remove the container. I might choose to remove the body as well, this thing here, because I'm doing everything differently, so not sure if it makes sense to put this body. But maybe it does because of the event listeners. I think probably what I'm gonna do in the future is just remove this. I think I'm gonna leave for after the next update, which is Sunday, to change the graph because like to create a new class here called graph, and then I create the graph using the data, and then I don't accept this, and then I accept the data just as being like as list of objects, I think, instead of this thing here. And then I think the reason why doing the graph is also going to be good is because then maybe I can look into the functions that the nodes and edges from VGS have, and then incorporate them on the nGraph class. So I mix both of them, and then I just use whatever is necessary, or whatever function they have there. I forgot to put this function here. I forgot to do the super thing here. I think I'm gonna look into another class because I don't remember where I should put this. Yeah, super inside of the constructor. Hmm. It's not. Is the canvas not the context? I think I just did the set size instead of this. Or maybe I forgot to do this function. Save options. Yeah, I think it's the set size. $380. Oh, it's just canvas because I don't have the canvas on this context, I think. Just passing the canvas inside of this one. Yeah, but here's complaining. So maybe I should initialize as this canvas. I think that's what I should do. And then I should probably change the other one, this one. The thing that concerns me here is that I'm not sure if because I'm also using the canvas on the other classes, like if the context is gonna matter, because obviously I want to change the same canvas across all classes. But the only reason why I did like this is because this was how it was done on VGS, so I think that there isn't a problem. You can just access the same as long as you pass the... Yeah, but there is a slight difference because I'm passing the classes, I think, on the other ones. And then I'm accessing the canvas through the class. But I think it is the same thing. Maybe I'll probably have to change the other classes as well, because I just did directly with the class, I think. Let's see if it works now. That's the problem. So now I have to think about what I'm gonna do. Because this is using the hammer from Visitio. I think on this project I don't have. Like this is the file that has this, I think. Do I delete this function or just leave it there? Like the purpose of this function is to add the event listeners for smartphones, for touch events, that kind of stuff. And maybe I'll just search for... Because the problem is with just installing the libraries that I don't know if that's what they're doing there. think I'm gonna try to just add this and then see if it works. Then if it doesn't, I'll think about it. Hmm. Can also create a file and then just copy everything. I think it doesn't have types. Whatever. Maybe downloading the file is better as well. I think I'm gonna do that and then just leave it like this, and if it doesn't work, I'll use the file. I don't understand why it's like this. Seems like it is wrong here. Not sure. Whatever. Hmm. I think before I try to solve with dynamic imports, I'm gonna try to see if I by importing the one that I have locally here is gonna work. If it doesn't, then I think I'm just gonna delete. Like I can figure this out later, I think. Just wanna get this stuff to work as fast as possible. Yeah, it's the same problem. Let me go back. Remember that? How I'm gonna maybe it awaits when you call. Maybe I can import the mount here and then do the import that way. I think I'm just gonna comment this out for now because I just wanna get the thing to work and deploy everything. Like the concern that I have is that I'm gonna have a bunch of different problems when trying to deploy. I think if I have problems here, like I can figure out in like tomorrow in a day, because I can just go. It's gonna be very annoying, like, and I don't want to do that. Which is to just do the things the way that I was doing before, and like not forget about everything here, but like use the functions that was using before, and I'm gonna have to spend a bunch of time doing that, which is just like a waste of time because it doesn't make sense. Like I would have to do that just so I can deploy by Sunday, so I can have a link, and I don't want to do that. So it looks like this is working at least, which is another thing that I was concerned. Yeah, but maybe I have to change that as well because I didn't change the draw context, I think. It's probably gonna fail at some point. Because I'm passing the canvas, so get draw context. Yeah, this thing I don't have. No, but that, let's see. Maybe I do have this function there. No, I don't. Hmm. Yeah, because I don't have the context. And the question is, should I put this context here or not? I think I'm gonna have to do this because from what it says there, it uses this to this context to draw everything with the other libraries that I don't understand really well yet. So it might be like necessary because that's the way that it puts everything together, let's say. Like even though it's changing on different files, because it has the same context, this is used at the lowest level to communicate with the WebGL program. So I think I'm gonna have to do this, probably. I think I'm just gonna put here, I'll think about it later. Puts after this stuff here. Yeah, but this might be a problem as well because of the window object. It doesn't work. Hmm. Oh, actually, this should be on the body. And the issue here is that it's going to be undefined on here. I think there are other functions that I didn't do. That are related to this context. Yeah, window is not defined. Same problem again. I know what I can do. Maybe I can do here. Not sure if this is gonna work. Because then it only loads the network once the window exists. Same problem. Wait, maybe it's because of the module there. Hmm. Okay. And I think it might be a problem because this is gonna be undefined in the beginning. But hopefully it doesn't crash the thing, because then I can, like, I think I can find ways to get around this. But maybe, like, it's gonna be a massive problem if the only way to draw with the low level things, low level functions, is gonna be with the context, because then I'm gonna have, like, I'm probably gonna have to do the other way. I think if until tomorrow I can't figure this out, I'm going to, like, do the functions first. Like, do the whole data part first. Like, figure everything out, and then I'll use like, I'll do it in the simplest way possible. Maybe yeah, doing another project is not, like, good. Because it's gonna be very annoying if I just have to, like, go back to the way that I had things before, just so I can, like, deploy the link. I don't understand why it's showing this if I'm not calling. Port 25. It's saying this bind hammer. Oh, it's on the set size. Here. Create map controls. I have to change this files as well. Just realized this. Because now I'm not using the create sing, but I'm still using this one. Root's not a function. Because get root gets the elements. Let's see. Schedule MVP updates. I think I wanted to avoid to change these files, because then, like, if there's a mistake or something like that, I wouldn't have the original files, and then I would have to search for them. It's just more work. And here I also shouldn't have the frame here. It's render frame. Not sure why this is being called yet as well. Redraw. Yeah, this redraw. No, but this is the other function here. Now, why is that being called? It's not this, is the thing. I don't know why this function is being called though. Oh, it calls here. That's why. Initialize the file, it calls here. Oh, the other thing that I have to see is these things here. Like maybe these are the things that are creating the zoom effect and the ability to navigate there on the canvas that I saw that I didn't understand in the beginning. Do I make a function? I think the easiest thing to do is just to put this function there. Just gonna be just to get the elements. The reason why I didn't put is because on this one I'm extending instead of doing like this. Here is using creating this new variable. I think it's the easiest thing just to put here, then I think about it later. Maybe after this. Render frame. I think I have the same function there. I'm gonna have to change the name. Because I have to append to, yeah. Let me think. I don't know. It's kind of hard to think about a different name though. Because the thing is, I'm appending the other elements to, I'm using this append child on the other elements, but I think it's calling the function that exists on the canvas first, because it first checks to see if the function exists on the current class, and then if it doesn't, then it goes to the class that extends. And I don't understand why he did with the same name here, but Maybe it's because it's hard to find a name, another good name. Like it's the same name for the element and for the function that exists here on the create scene. I think that's the what's wrong, but I'm not really sure. Because the problem is that I'm using this here. So it's just gonna call this function recursively. And I wanna call on the element class. Oh, just so confusing. Because the other one, like, I'm appending using the append child after creating the scene from another file. Yeah, so I'm using this function, but then this function uses the function from the other one. Yeah, because that's the key difference, I think. Because here is like, I'm calling this function to append on another thing, which is the element. But there I'm just appending to itself. It's creating a loop. So I need to append. Maybe just remove the function. Because the only point of this function is to append. So if I remove, it's gonna go from is the other one. Because I'm appending here the other elements in the initialization. The other one, it appends the elements after it creates them, after it initializes the elements. But here I'm appending on the constructor, I think. But maybe not. Maybe I'm appending on the... I think I'm appending on the init elements, init y elements. Oh no, it's the other class that does that. So I think if I leave it like this, it's not gonna be a problem. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but now it's a problem because I don't have anything there, even though I don't have any mistakes. So obviously I can't click here. Let me think. I think the first thing that I have to do is just send the data. Just open another terminal and send the data. But it should be loading something, I think, because here is adding this node to the graph. So it's a bad sign, I think. Or maybe it's because of this check. Let me remove from here and see if it breaks. Okay, it doesn't break. So the other thing that I can do is just console log. Yeah, I should receive data and then load the data. So obviously it should be running this code because I was getting the problems there. I think this doesn't call the animation, maybe. It just binds the redraw to the animation. But start simulation should come first. But this, I don't have the thing there. It doesn't do anything here. Like if I can't do it with events, then obviously I'm gonna call the function directly, I think. And the thing is, like, that's the problem because I don't know, I don't understand really well how these functions work here. I think, like, in my mind, the way that it works right now is just you pass this stuff, then, like, this is the callback that is passed here. And this is gonna initialize the loop. So the loop would be initialized with this function, and the context of this is gonna be binded, or not sure how to say that, but to this function here. And then this function triggers the start rendering thing, or the redraw function. And then the redraw function should draw the stuff. So I think what I can do here is also console log this. See if this function is being triggered. Yeah, there's nothing there. But it should be calling this, it should be calling this. Hmm. So maybe if I try to call directly, it's obviously not good because, like, the thing is I don't understand really well how this works as well because it's just the object there. So must be something with this when you pass here. It's kind of like similar to the eventify pattern, where it adds the event listeners to this based on the whatever you pass here. Because it should be calling this. Maybe this is just binding the context and not sending the events. I don't understand really well. Let me call directly and see what happens. Hmm. Weird. So what else can be wrong here? Or maybe if I try to call from here, but let me see if it's gonna. Okay, this one works. But it's weird because it should be calling this function. Hmm. Yeah, so it's not calling this. So I think it's only binding the thing the first time. Two hundred and five. Hmm. Or maybe it's the canvas, not the, because the gel doesn't exist here. Yeah, I'm passing the canvas. But I have to spend a lot more time studying this component, this emitter thing, and also trying to understand. I think what I'm gonna do is just paste this code on ChatGPT and see if you can explain how it works. Or maybe if I do context instead. Oh, it's a lot. Didn't even see the thing going, so I might take a break after. It might be different. The context might be different from. Yeah, it doesn't have this function. So I guess it just comments this out for now. Oh, I think it's GL labels. No. Let me go to this class. Yeah, labels is the GL labels. Yeah, so I don't know. We should be rendering this stuff. The problem is that now it's gonna be very hard to know like what to do because I'm not getting any errors. So like the thing is that it might be on the cycle of the animation, and I don't understand how it works really well. So that's the problem. Because I think that's the main difference from the thing that I have now and the way that it was before. Is that the way that it was before, it has the functions inside, but it shouldn't make that much of a difference, I think. Like here it draws here. Maybe it's the way that it renders the frame is the different. Because this is gonna be on this thing here. And this is the thing that is gonna do the animation. Like this is the function that is being passed to the quest animation frame. I think that's the main difference stuff. And then it's calling the roots draw with the context. So maybe that's the difference here, is that I have to put this because I didn't add this function there. Okay, I added all of these, I separated into the other functions. But I think that the thing is I need to call this function now inside of the thing. But the issue is like I don't understand really well how the loop's gonna work. Because this is calling this function inside of here. So it's roughly the same. The only difference is this render frame here. Because here, instead of calling that one function, I'm just calling all of these functions. But they do essentially the same thing, just separated into different functions. So the two differences are the function that is triggering the loop. Because here I don't have the loop, that's the thing. Because I'm just calling redraw directly. And the other difference is that I don't have this other function there. It should be this, not render frame, but then it's not. I don't have this because I wanted to separate into different things. A render frame, then it's gonna call this. So maybe I just copy this function and just put there. It should be an easy solution for now. Obviously, like the thing is, yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do it like this now, but I'm gonna have to change it. So because the problem is I have to understand how the loop works that creates the graphics, because if I want to incorporate the stuff that VGS does on this graph, then like the whole loop is gonna be necessary. Like understanding how like all the steps of the loop are working. I don't understand this immediate as well here. And there it passes without the immediate, so. And I think like this frame token keeps track of the animations, the frames, in the same way that there are other variables there on the other one should keep track as well. I don't know how it works yet. So let me think about it. I guess I can just initialize this and then do the same thing that it's doing here. And then this would be on the beginning. And that's the point of the draw context, is that it's passing to this low level function that is going to change everything. I think this is the, oh no, it is the correct function. So maybe I can change this one to accept this. I don't know. Because the projection comes from the other class. That's the problem. But I think if I pass, the draw context that I have there is gonna work. And I think it does that after it adds everything. I also think I didn't do this thing here. Hmm. So I think I'm gonna do it inside of this function here. So here, this should be the thing that starts the animation, I think. Yeah, it's passing the frame function. So it's probably gonna see, it's gonna call this back. So this is the function that starts there. So the other thing I can do, yeah, but then it wouldn't make sense. I was gonna say to create this function on the class that I have there. Because it doesn't make sense because that's already the function that I have. So maybe I can just request animation frame in the outside of this thing. Yeah, but then I can pass this stuff inside here. Obviously, it's not what I want to do, but just trying to make it work. And then inside of here, it calls this frame, this render frame, which is this function from the other class. So I think instead of doing that, I should just... Well, the problem is that there's this frame token here thing. And I guess I can just put this inside of there. And I think that's... I can put the frame token there. Not sure if I have it. I think I already called this here. Yeah, but maybe it's better to do this later because it is the way that it does here on this one. Clear after it does the drawing. I'm gonna draw a graph and then cause this. So I think it makes sense to just pass this stuff to the end. Maybe it's different in the other one because it's to the context. I shouldn't call the function here. Oops. Here, transform. Hmm. Maybe I give it a different name, I think, to this. Yeah, I gave camera state. Just remove the thing there. Oh, on the wrong file. Hmm. If I only pass the function instead. Yeah. So let me just remove, see if it's gonna work. I think the problem is the context that I'm running this through, because I'm running from this thing here. This is the issue. Because it should have the context there. I think it does have this variable, yeah. And this is the reason why it's not working with this when I put this here. Hmm. So maybe I can call this thing here. At the end here. And then it's obviously not good because then I'm not setting the options here. Obviously, like at this point, I'm just trying to make it work. Then I'll think about whatever. Yeah. Hmm. And the thing is, how do I know what thing is triggering that? Is the issue. It should be here. Maybe if I do bind this, maybe that's why they do it like that. So I think that I passed the wrong thing there. Because the context comes from this thing. Yeah. Oh, it works, but it's no visuals. What else can be the problem? The other doesn't translate. Maybe if I console log here, I'm gonna be able to know how many times. I think I did this on the other one, but it only ran once. Oh, nice. Awesome. There's something there. Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah, nice. And so now I think I'm gonna do the rest off stream. I'm gonna like, obviously this is not what I wanna do. Like it's very far, but I wanna just get to the position, to the point where I have something, because my main concern is being able to have the link until Sunday, so I can send the updates there. But there's like a lot of stuff. Hopefully with time it becomes more clear to me. Like the thing that I'm struggling the most is this loop, the request animation thing, that I don't understand really well. Like how the difference between the way that they both did it, the whole thing with the counts. I think both of them have a variable to count the cycles in the frames. But I don't understand, like, it's very hard to visualize the whole process of everything that is going on. And obviously there's like so many things as well that I have to change, the physics and the WebGL stuff. Like it's very hard. So the two key things I think is the emitter, I think, that I don't understand really well. Because it should be like, the way that I was thinking in my mind is that when it emits the events, I think I was thinking like that because of the Eventify library that works like this. When you emit, is gonna, whatever has their own events is gonna listen to this and is gonna trigger whatever function it has there. But I don't understand like why, even though I'm emitting here, is not triggering there. But yeah, the thing is, I think what I'm gonna do now is just I have to think, because yeah, maybe if I send data here, just see what happens. But I think it's not gonna change anything. Well, it should change the graph, which should change the animation. It should trigger this function again. But I think I was doing... I think I'm gonna try to test with just sending the data and see what happens. Because I think the problem is that it's just gonna do the graph in the beginning. I increase the two nodes because I have two nodes there. But if I call here, it's probably not gonna... Maybe it will, because it's creating the graph each time. So it does work. But I think this is problematic. Obviously, that's another thing that I'm gonna have to do, I think. So I initialize the graph before, like outside of the function. And then I create another function in the graph that updates the visualization as new nodes come in. That's what I want to do. Yeah, but at least it's doing this way. Yeah, here I think in order to make this work, I can just copy the stuff that I have there on the other function, on the create graph thing for the layouts here, and then I can do pretty much the same thing that I did here, and then just make a global variable, not a global variable, but a variable inside of the constructor for these steps here. It's not hard to figure out. So what I'm gonna do is just create another button here that sends a message through the WebSocket, and that message is gonna trigger the function on the model. And then from that, it's gonna send the data again. And then once it sends the data, I'm gonna create the visualization there. Like it's already working. And I think I'm gonna try to do some of this off stream now, today. And then probably tomorrow, the whole day, I'm gonna, like, the thing that I'm anxious about is the deployment stuff. So I think I'm gonna try to finish the button and this process of like making the visualization when you click the button. And tomorrow, and maybe I start today, I'll figure out how to deploy the Flask and the thing. And if it is easy to deploy, then I'm gonna probably change the UI of this until the next update. And I have to study a lot more, like the VJS library, to understand really well, like, what is the flow here. The issue with this one is that there isn't a way to, like, there isn't a easy way to test just with the source code that I have here. Like, the only way to test this one is you have to build it, and then it's gonna put everything inside of one file, and then it becomes really confusing really difficult to see what's going on. Like, there isn't a way to just, with this one, maybe I can try to do a simple project and then just import these functions, like but it might be too much work, like create another isVault project to run this and then use VJS. Maybe I can just create another file there though. Like I can create another route and then I just use VJS. I think that might be a good idea, because then like I can have a backup plan in case the doing with WebGL is too difficult. I can just continue with the VJS for the nights and weekends. Obviously, I think I'm gonna, like, eventually I'm gonna figure out how to do everything with WebGL. But the main thing is but I'm also thinking about, like, if I can't get very far during these nights and weekends, then I just go and continue on the next one. Because I think that this is something that is gonna be, like, even if nobody uses this, I think it's gonna be extremely useful for myself, like, to study everything and to learn everything faster. Like, there's no doubt, if I'm able to make the visualizations faster and get a lot of nodes, then I can think about, like, several different ways to display the information. And then it increases, like, the efficiency of learning very big projects, because you have a lot more information you can capture at once when you look at the graph. And like, ideally, I would be able to build something that allows me to just spend a lot less time studying, like, just something that you can visualize the graph and just understand, like, right away how everything is connected. That's the point. And if I have that, then it becomes a lot easier to build anything else, because it's just like one of those feedback loop things where, like, once I have a bunch of graphs of a bunch of different projects, you can start, you can create multi-dimensional graphs where, like, you can combine the lines and the color of the nodes based on the frequency that the pattern exists on multiple different projects. And then through that, like, you're gonna be able to know, like, what's the multifractal essence of the project, of the way that the scripts and the language is used to solve problems. Like, that's the main goal, I think. But the whole thing, like, the reason why it's difficult here is because I don't know, like, how long each thing is gonna take, and I know that each week I'm gonna have to do an update for nights and weekends. So it's, like, kind of hard to decide, like, which path to go with. Yeah. But I think I'm gonna work on this stuff off stream. Just gonna put the button and then do the visualization and see. Probably tomorrow I'm gonna see how to deploy this. Hopefully I can do it. I can deploy somewhere, because I haven't researched yet to see if it's possible to deploy with isVault on Vercel. I think I'm gonna do with Vercel because it's easier, and yeah, for the isVault for the front end, and for the back end, the API the Flask, I have no idea because I never deployed something with Flask, but I'm gonna search. So probably gonna do that tomorrow.